Welcome back to another Chime episode. I think it's like episode 1000. I lost count.
Feels that way.
I think we're on 28.
Okay, thank you, Brett. 28. It's not 1000. There you go.
28
feels like 1,000.
And we've got Bryan Short again, but this time we're not talking about SEO. I mean, it's just as good, but not SEO. We're talking about follow-up. We're talking about conversion. We're talking about all this stuff about long-term conversion, which a lot of people forget. It takes a long time to convert some of these leads. So, Bryan, welcome.
It can. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me back. And for people that haven't been on one of these before, just know that there's going to be a stream of ideas and consciousness coming to you. But as Brett and everybody else here that is really kicking butt with Chime can attest, just bite off something and fully implement it. Don't feel that you have to do 100% of it. Just be better than your current scenario, which is largely not that difficult to do. So please don't get overwhelmed. I know a lot of times when people watch this stuff, they come away going, oh my God, there's like 78 things I need to do. And therefore I'll keep hunting for other things to do.
Right.
So if you watched the last webinar we did about the kick-ass sellers pitch page on Chime, go do that. go do that before you do this stuff, right? Like fully implement. Like guys like Brett and other clients that I'm going to kind of case study here just briefly, they are savage implementers. That's really the trick. It's not like they have like an 800 IQ and they just have like grandpa, Bill Gates money backing them. It's like, no, they just implement way more. Like, so do you remember Jason Herkamp's a client of mine. You guys had him on recently, and he's doing like
I love Jason.
Yeah, doing like 150 million a year.
Yeah.
Right. And he says straight up, he's like, I'm not the smartest dude in the room, but I am out implementing people.
There's no question about that.
No question about it. He did not find some secret button, some unknown thing that no one else has ever figured out, right?
Let's also be very specific here. He did reach out to us, Jason, because we brought him into Chime, and he's like, all right, what do I do? And I'm like, well, get to know Brett and then hire Bryan to run all your SEO. So I mean, there are specific things you need to do.
That helps. Yeah, that helps, because there are people that have gone before you that have already solved a lot of the problems you're trying to solve. So I think what a lot of clients get from my service, and what I think we'll deliver here on the webinar, is just like the battle tested, time tested stuff. Some of these sequences I've been running literally with pretty much no modifications since 2007.
Yeah.
Like if it works that long, like it's the psychology, it's not the widget.
Yeah.
So can we flip the screen? Because I did present, I did make a little slideshow, if that helps people kind of stay along. I know sometimes talking heads just to get to be too much about the head and less about the bullet points.
Content.
Can we flip the share screen?
Sure, man. You should have, there you go.
All right. So everybody looking at my screen?
I see it.
And I feel like given the last webinar, sometimes I railroad and I just talk too damn much. So if anyone wants to speak up, please do.
Well, this is about you, so let's do it, dude.
Oh, it's not about me. It's about helping other people. So let's get over some of the normal things. I think that anytime you're about to start to take some action, you need to know the state of the market. Oftentimes we'll see agents not really understand the math of the sequence they're about to engage in, and that is absolutely the reason for the failure.
Okay.
So let's get beefed up. There's 7 million home sales a year in the United States.
Damn.
These are ballpark figures, right? But they're accurate enough, okay? There's 1.3 million realtors. There's 2 million people over 18 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Now, there is a savage number of leads generated every year. I think I'm passing like 42,000 leads a month. for
Yep.
what I'm generating.
For your personal business, or is that generating for
That's-
everybody that's working with you?
That's for clients.
For
Okay.
clients.
Cool.
Yeah, for client businesses. Yeah, for all the capital I deploy, we're spending upwards of 400 grand a month. And
Yeah.
brings a boatload of, my point being, the volume of leads is, I just got an internet unstable.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
If I drop out, I'll try to, as I can. The volume, let me, my phone.
While Brian's catching up, his internet's catching up. Let's do this. If you can pull one thing out of what you learned today, one thing out of this, and implement that, you're going to be so much further ahead of the game than everybody that tries to implement everything. So one thing out of this, take one thing and try to implement. And it looks like we have Bryan back. Have fun, buddy.
Yeah, let's see if the audio is better, Brett.
Yeah,
Much better,
it's
man.
much better.
Okay, good. So my point being with these numbers, there is a ridiculous number of leads compared to sales. I don't really know the total number. I've not been able to pin it down. I don't know if there's 10 times more leads in sales or 40 to 1, but let's just think about this. Zillow, according to Quantcast and other sources, says there's 36 million unique people a month on their site. Okay, so what I'm pointing out is that this real estate is a national pastime. So
Yep.
the idea that you're going to meet anyone who's really at the end of the funnel is like very unlikely with these stats, right? If you look at these stats and think like, no, I'm going to meet somebody inside that 45-day window, yet all of this is happening anyway.
Right.
Right? My God, no. So there's a huge opportunity for improvement. We're going to go over the stuff that matters the most first, but in general, if you're making less than 1,000% ROI, like you really need to pay attention. I know that number sounds like crazy, but that is like ballpark average for my clients. That is like day in, day out normal. If you're
Bryan,
not actually spending money. Yes, Tristan.
where do people sign up to just, because that was a really good call to action. I just want to know where people sign up now.
Hang on, Bryan. I'll post your link.
Yeah. I mean,
Randy.
my process is very much about making sure that the client really is, ready for what I do. I turn down people all the time, and not in a mean way. But if somebody comes to me and they're not ready, they don't have Chime, they don't have budget, they don't have the mental fortitude to do it the distance, like I won't take their money. I won't tell them that this makes sense. Like I'm very blunt with people in a really nice way though. I'm never like an ass about it. But I want people to succeed. Like I really want people that onboard with Chime to be 12 months later going, oh my God, like I've completely changed my standard operating procedure. I've changed my lead flow. I've changed my average sales price. Like this is reliable. This is consistent. This is moving the needle. I have no interest in onboarding somebody and then having them blow up 30 days later with frustration. So my point being, if you're not running paid campaigns, like you really need to start considering that you're fighting capitalism, and you're fighting math, and you're fighting time. And fighting those three, it's the equivalent of like fighting the IRS. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, you know their slogan, right, Brett?
Yeah. Give it to me.
We've got.
Oh, I thought that was their
to
slogan.
No, give it to me. Yeah. No, okay. So that's a good one. But actually their slogan, it's on all the bumper stickers of their car. It says, "We've got what it takes to take what you've got."
Oh my gosh.
Oh, damn.
So let's dive into a couple other things. So just understand the math. Nobody is going to have unique leads. Nobody is going to have leads that are purely at the end of the funnel. Nobody's going to be in a situation that violates these things because we are all in the same bucket at the end of the day, but there are ways to get improvements and make the math work in your favor.
And just add one more, a little bit of some additional math to it. Statistically, each and every year, more and more people find their realtor online. So why would you not want to be where people are in an increasing rate finding realtors. It's insane.
Very, very true. Yeah. The numbers, if you look at the shift from when people found their agent, via magazines or, newspapers, that has been trending down rapidly, very quickly. So let's just look at it, why this matters so much. So my client, David Van Ashe, launched with me in North Dakota, literally before he got licensed. Like, we were feeding like the broker a slew of leads. Like, it was a while. It was like several months. Like, he was front running all of his lead gen before he was even inside of the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Kicks ass, hits #1 in his MLS his first year in business.
Wow.
Well,
Bryan,
people.
With the amount, where did David start?
So that's a small market. To be fair, that's a small market. That is not going to happen if you fire up in Dallas. Like, I don't care if you've got all the money on the planet, it's just not going to happen. So it was a small market. But my point was, before he did something, he got ruthless about the numbers.
Okay.
I believe that he reached out to Brett for coaching. He reached out to me, and I know for sure that he's actively being coached by Todd Tremonti. So he gets his math and his figures and his stats and his process from sources that have deployed huge amounts of capital over long periods of time. So he knows what to expect, and he's not going to quit early. Now, when I was looking at the intro to this webinar, right, I asked people in the Chime group, like, hey, what do you want to see as the next, content? Like, I think there's a million things we can do content about, but this came up, right? So long-term follow-up. So this is like his idea, right? So we're on this webinar because he gave me the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now look at this number. I took a sample of 400 leads, 16 to 18 months old, skip traced them for current addresses, looked up the addresses on tax records, and found that 200 made a purchase. So my audiences are freaking tight.
Wow.
Right? Like, that is really, really, really tight. That's a good group of people that are very likely to be doing something in the time period. So if we have agents that aren't converting, one of the main things that you want to find out is if they are hearing that the lead bought without them. If you're not hearing that, hey, they bought without me, one, you're probably not running long enough for the numbers to hit, or two, you're not actually in communication with anyone, because you will hear they bought without you. Now, it's a very, very frustrating thing is if you hire a caller and they call through your old leads list, they'll get in touch with more people than you do when they're on the front end of the cycle, which is insane because they're not afraid. The consumer isn't afraid because there's not sales pressure because they already bought. That's why when you hire a caller to beat your list of 12 to 20 month old leads, they can uncover more people you missed than you did. It's a very painful outcome.
Yeah.
So in the past, the past 30 days, I've had 2 clients reactivate that canceled because their ROI just skyrocketed while they're in the gap. Like, they're running for 8 months. Oh my God, I didn't convert anything. They're paused for 4 months. A bunch of conversions happen. They find out that they've not converted a whole slew. Like, I have a young guy in Southern California. He could count $385,000 in missed commission, and he only got in touch with a very, very small portion of the leads.
Yeah.
It's a tiny portion.
Okay, so go ahead.
No, I run over things. So you need to butt in because I'll just keep going.
This is, so what I challenge people to do is I think once a year, everybody should go through their database. And I think they should call every single person in their database or text everybody in your database, whatever you want. If they're a buyer, send out, are you still thinking about buying a home this year? If they're a seller, are you still thinking about selling your home this year? And I want you to count how many people bought or sold without you. And then add those commissions up and figure out how much money you lost that year. I challenge everybody to do it because it's going to improve your follow-up long term. Anyways, continue.
and it'll make you aware of the difference between your active capital deployment risk and your opportunity risk. If you think the amount of money you're actually deploying is the amount of money you're risking, you are wildly off base. If we go put 20, 30, 50 grand in a briefcase and you think, all right, that's my ad budget, that's scary to lose that briefcase. You're looking at 15, 20 briefcases you don't know about in missed opportunities.
Mm.
It is very different. So let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of this. So for sure, the first thing is be brilliant on the basics. Like you absolutely need to have their search set up in Chime. That's easy. You've got to have a market report set up in Chime. In another webinar, we kind of briefly covered the hidden decision maker. This is a huge cost in lost transactions. In my career, it was 82% of people buying or selling with me had a significant other. 12% were solo singles. If you don't have their cell phone or you don't have their email, that is a wandering gap. Right? Because we already know they're in other people's sequences. We know that.
And so everyone
Randy,
knows. Well, I just want to make everyone aware. I posted a link in the chat to one of the previous videos we did with Bryan. And from that link, you'll be able to access all of our weekly chimes. So there's a nugget in each and every one of them. You know, listen to it while you ride your bike or Peloton or whatever. I guess that defeats the point of a Peloton. But anyways, listen to them in the car because there's good stuff to get out of them.
That's funny.
So that one is a big one, and I don't think people pay nearly enough attention to it. The hidden decision maker is huge. It's killing people left and right. I mean, they're oh well, that person started ghosting me. I'm like, all right, cool. Do you know their wife? No. Well, their wife probably knows another agent.
Yeah.
Or somehow you missed them. So tightening up the hidden decision maker is huge. I know that we went over some of this previously, but good God, start making some offers beyond, do you have any questions? So I'm just going to riff here. I'm not reading scripts. I'm just straight pitching. Here's a bunch of offers. Hey, Randy, this is Bryan. We are checking out some properties here in the west side of Las Vegas. Another client of mine is running crime reports. Heads up, the little red dots are felonies. If you want to see the other information about what's inside a relocation concierge, just text me back, Relo VIP, with your address, and I'll send you a package in the mail today.
Dude, that's so good.
Okay. Waterfront boat tour. And these are from client examples that we're running like right now. This is like running all over the US and Canada. Like I have people getting 400 waterfront leads a month. Okay. Just finished a waterfront boat tour and it was sad to see that you didn't make it. Hey, this is Mark. We've got another tour set up next week. Love to have you on it. It's complete with drinks, if you like, and information about the past 12 months of sales and details like where the seaweed is, where you can launch boats, where it's quiet, and where it's winter access only. Get your tickets, reach out to Jessica, my assistant, and she'll get you squared away. Again, I've been selling properties on the lake for 22 years. Love to help with any all questions. I'm a resource, so just start asking.
Tristan's gonna run a new campaign too. It's gonna be like Saturday morning surf sessions with Tristan. Learn where all the secret stashes are in Malibu.
That's right, man. I mean, I just started shooting yesterday, so
I saw your update. That's why I said that.
that's so funny. That's very true. Very true.
So we'll just rip through some more. You guys liking it? Like I write copy better from my feet than I do typing.
I love this, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Jessica, didn't see your response back yet to our COVID sensitivity questionnaire. On a scale of 1 to 10, please indicate how COVID sensitive you are. If you're beyond a 7, I highly recommend our video showing service.
Right.
For a sample, just type back and I'll send you an example of us finding a property for a client, blah, blah, blah. Right? Offer analysis. Okay, we're not going to upgrade. No, we don't need to do that. In Dallas-Fort Worth, the average number of offers a client has to make in the competitive market is 7. My team is averaging 1.6. To see how we're beating other agents 6 to 1 or 600%, ask for offer analysis and let us know the address of the property you'd like us to take a look at. Okay, so do you guys see where I'm setting the hook like way, way deeper?
Yeah.
You're offering something that something of value. It's something that's different. It's something that differentiates. All of these differentiate. Everybody tries to do, well, let me send you over a market analysis. How many people know how to read a market analysis?
Know how to read it, or does it
What does it mean?
Does it become congruent to their goal in a way that they feel like they need you to answer the question?
Right.
Right? Like they don't feel like they need you to figure out if they like the photos or the pictures or the square footage. Like they already feel like they already have all that.
Yeah.
Right. So making sure that you have offers is huge for responses. I'll hear oftentimes from an agent, oh, well, I stopped leaving voicemails because people never call me back. I'm like, okay, cool. Why would they call you back?
I called them.
Well, I called them and I told them to call me back. I'm like, all right, that's not meaty enough. If you're leaving a voicemail, you need to call out something very specific that's a benefit they can get through you, and then refer to the email you sent them, which is the proof element. That will increase your callbacks massively, massively. So let's keep going, because I know that I go like super long. I'm always on topic 1 when we're like 66% of the way through the thing.
That's
Right.
true, but it's good. It's a good thing.
To go offline, I'm a huge proponent of direct mail. I've done a savage amount of direct mail in my life. I've made a fortune from it. I've done new construction takeovers. I've done relocation campaigns. I've sold out entire developments with direct mail. There are things that you can do direct mail that you are never going to achieve digitally. So the benefits of it, huge shelf life. If you go, Brett, you're pretty much a consumer of all things, right? But if I asked you, how old is the average magazine in your house? How old is the average book? How old is the average text message? How old is the average email? Which one has the shelf life?
Oh, hands down magazine.
By far.
Hands down.
Do you remember any text message you got a year ago?
I don't remember what I got yesterday.
I don't know. I get 400 emails a day. I get probably 50 text messages. I get 35 phone calls. Like everyone is overwhelmed. But when you send something physically, and I mean this at a neurological level, there is something very different that happens when you flip through something physically and you have eye candy in front of you that is your desire, and it can sit on the coffee table. You can see it later. I've had calls out of my case study download that I mailed out. Like I launched this media buying business with direct mail. I still get calls out of that thing. That was 3.5 years ago.
Dude, that is so
I've had
true.
this thing sitting on my desk for 3.5 years now. And I've seen you in Facebook groups about, for the past 2 years, like, what are you up to?
Kristen, you have a pretty consistent direct mail campaign that you run, don't you?
We do. I mean, both in real estate and the personal brand, which is interesting that you say that, Brian, because I think when you combine both, that's where like you occupy the most mind space. And I tried that. That's why I teamed up with Success Magazine. And I'm like, you know what? If they're going to send something to thousands of people on a magazine and they can put me in it, I'm in. Right?
Hey, Randy, I have a question for you. So I was huge with Geographic Farm. Like I spent more money with Geographic Farm than I would like to openly admit on a public forum. It's kind of bad, really, how much I spent. But the truth is, it worked really, really well. Does Chime still this sounds weird. Do I still get a deal if anybody reached out to Geographic Farm and mentioned my name? Can you?
Do I work for Chime or Geographic Farm, bro? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have like an in, like I don't know how it works.
Hey, y'all can send direct mail directly through Chime at this point. If you want,
that's true.
If you want to work with Geographic Farm on something probably a little more comprehensive, you got to go directly to them. I do not have any influence at Geographic Farm.
This is how out of the loop I am.
Hey, it's a common question. It's like, look, man, they're two different companies. I hate to break it to you. I only work for one.
Brian, where would you go if you said, hey, let's create a campaign where we can start, either mailing out to
good
people we
thing-
connect with or something along those lines?
Yeah, the two that I've seen consistent, I typically go with businesses. Like my threshold is you've got to been doing it over 3 years. And I've got to know 3 people that have actually spent money with you and didn't hate you. Like if you hit that threshold, then I'm, likely to lean your way. I avoid the companies that launched, a week ago, a month ago. I don't know if they're going to still be around, but Reminder Media, they've been around a long time, in Homes by Design. Again, I'm not affiliate for either of these, but I mean, you can get a gorgeous magazine that is lifestyle related and it brands you all over it, and get that in people's mailbox relatively easy. And you don't have to be a copywriting guru and like figure all this out. My first advice is just implement something that's plug and play bolt on. Do not try to do this on your own. You're never going to write enough content or have enough like bandwidth to actually create your own like long-term thing. It'll grind you down.
Yeah,
it will. So quickly go with something that is already a bolt-on. I know it's not ideal. I know it's not going to look super hyper local when they're getting some, home in Aspen and you're in Florida. But if you're looking for something to keep in touch and get brand and name and likeness out the door relatively quickly, Reminder Media, and these are magazine based. Chime can do, I'm pretty sure like more postcard stuff. I don't think they're doing like a 50-page, magazine.
No, you're right.
But those two, Reminder Media and Homes by Design, I think if you run the numbers, it's pretty unlikely that if you put people on that drip that you're going to actually lose money over a 12-month window.
Yeah.
And I know I always go over, so I'm trying to make sure I'm not doing that now. It's 10:30, so I got time for one more slide, right?
Do it, man.
All right.
Hey, take your time, dude.
Okay. Being more memorable. This is huge. Like if you can get away from stock photos and don't worry so much about the graphics, worry a lot more about the content.
Ooh, yes.
Like,
So true.
I've used images that I took with a client in lots of follow-up sequences. This is a photo I took of my friend's little girl sitting on the beach or on the grass.
Aww.
Right? It does not look like a stock photo, right? I mean, it's the shoreline's crooked, like she's not lit up. I wasn't using a flash, but I could write some copy on this that would hook just about anybody.
That's a good one, dude. Also, Brian, an upside down airplane would be great right
Oh,
there.
shut up. You're the meanest person I've ever
I'm
met.
just saying, Brett.
Yeah, here you go. Caption, you ready? Upside down in your mortgage? I can help.
That's what I'm saying. Brian could go crazy with that.
But this like we're very programmed as humans to absorb story. So I've used story in tons of different sequences, and the response I get out of some of the sequences is huge. Now, unfortunately, like I've lost 3 different hard drives over the course of my career. So a ton of my super juicy direct mail stuff, I just mentally don't want to recreate because it's like a 12-page magalog or, like an 8-page or 4-page, like, but I've done a lot of things. But let me give you some examples of really what tugs at the heartstrings. So I had an image of me standing around a bunch of little kids on bicycles, and all the little kids are smiling. Right. And the headline said, I want to say the woman's name was Samantha, but it says, from the picture, you can't tell which kid is Samantha's, my client who recently moved into Coeur d'Alene from Atlanta.
Mhm.
The reason for this is because I set up a kid's bike ride and everyone's playing in the cul-de-sac together. Mom's never been happier that her child was ingratiated into the community, and she's finally got what she wants, an area where blah, 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 blah. Right? It doesn't feel like a standard real estate ad. It doesn't feel like just a generic, like this dude sends out this to everybody.
Ah, yeah. That's interesting.
Authenticity is the most important part.
Hyperhuman.
Dude, I love that.
I had another one where it was an older man and a young boy, like the grandson. And the intro said something like, grandpa's not going to be water skiing anymore, but he's imagining what's going to happen for, his grandson. We found this property with beach to the water's edge and it wasn't listed. Here's how it happened. I met the blah, blah, blah family during XYZ when they were doing things similar to you. And that's why I'm reaching out to you today to let you know that inside a VIP buyer, we can go well beyond the MLS and into the private market. On XYZ Lake, there's only 4.8% of properties with beach to the water's edge. So if you're looking, here is this, and then a glowing testimonial from the family.
Yeah.
Right. Again, if we go back to the beginning, right? There's 40 people hitting on your client right now. Be memorable, right? Like I assure you that
speed dating.
It's like speed dating. It kind of is, right? So go deep quickly as to the emotional benefit that your client got, much more so than whatever vanity claim you're running right now. There's probably somebody that's bigger. Like how many people can honestly say they're number one by volume? Right. There's only one dude in every county that can say that. So 99% of the time, that's not your offer.
So what you're describing is a thing that I call peacock marketing. And I see Tristan going like, the hell? Peacock marketing. It's are you guys fans of Parks and Rec? Have you ever seen Parks and Rec, the TV show? Okay, so Tom he goes out one time where he's trying to hit on women at a bar and he wears this funky orange hat. And someone's like, what's up with the funky orange hat? And he's like, peacocking. And so basically it's give them something to remember you by. Yeah. And so later on you could, hey, I'm the guy with the orange hat. So it's peacock marketing. It's give them something that they just go, holy crap, you're the one. I'm going to give you a really great example of that. My ugly pink cars. Everybody's like, why are you wrapping PT Cruisers in ugly pink? Yeah. It's peacock marketing. Because later on they're going to be like, oh, you're the ugly pink car dude. It's like, yes, I am. So you don't have to wrap cars to do this. You can send really awesome, unique mailers. You can come up with some really funny podcasts. You can come up with some really funny videos. There's two guys down in Newport Beach. And Tristan, you've probably seen this. This is Howie Duffy. Have you seen that video?
Yep.
Dude, everybody watching that is like, oh my God, that's the funniest thing ever. But everybody remembers these guys now, and they're selling, $17 to $20 million properties off of some stupid little video that they made.
Very true, buddy. Very true.
So that's the thing. Bryan, you're hitting a nail on the head of just do something that's different. Do something that makes you stand out. It's peacock marketing, man.
It makes total sense when we're overwhelmed. Like when we're overwhelmed, our mind is going to default to the thing that is most easy to remember. So you guys are, well, let me put this way. There's basically three types of memory. There's episodic, semantic, and procedural. So episodic memory is like something that happened to you. So Brett remembers crashing his road bike, right? Like for sure. Does he remember?
Brett remembers crashing.
Yeah,
crash. That. I crash a lot.
But do you remember every time that you've lubed the chain?
No,
wait, there's too many times and it's too similar that nothing specific. You're like, I don't know there's probably 400 times you've lubed the chain. None of them really stand out. Maybe if you got your fingers sucked into it one time, that's the one time it stands out. There's procedural memory, which is like order, right? So if you're going to give CPR or you're going to do something like doing the laundry, that's procedural. And there's semantic. Semantic memory is like general understanding about life's and cultural things. So like, if I say, what's it like in Germany or what's it like in Japan, even if none of us have been to either of those countries, our semantic memory kicks in about what those things are. When you blend more than one memory type into a frame, you really lift what's happening for the consumer. It's huge. It's huge. So keep in mind, any of these things can be hooks. They can be a voicemail, a text message, an email. It can be a direct mail piece. It can be a video. It can be a video that you send through email. It can be a video in a Facebook retargeting ad. But in general, try to remember the frame. I've already done something. It's special and unique. It helps people in a situation like yours. If you want to get the benefit that I've clearly outlined here, this is the next step, and it's not scary. You can rip that out in about 30 seconds, no matter what you do, whether it's a voicemail, text, whatever.
Yeah.
So I actually think I fit the timeline a tiny bit better this time. I'm usually like an hour
you nailed it. Yeah. No,
I like that. Good job.
I'm only 8 minutes. I'm only 8 minutes late.
Not bad at all, man. Not bad at all. We put up, I think Brett put up the link there to a couple of things.
Teach me to Duffy.
Yes.
But do the easy stuff first. Don't worry about hiring a mega video production crew that does stuff for Squatch Soap or something like right size this. The first thing to keep in mind is that during every transaction, you're going to have a memory of it. Write down the bullet points and make sure that eventually that becomes part of your marketing.
Yeah.
Right. I used to have a direct mailer that was a picture of an 18-wheeler stuck in snow. And the next picture was a person in Germany. And it was my expired mailer. And it was something, so the situation was such like the client was with another agent. They accepted an offer. They thought it was going to go through. They moved their entire family to Germany. The offer didn't go through and the client's house didn't sell. And then I got called in to sell the house. And I'm pitching the next expired. I'm like, don't get stuck with your 18-wheeler in a snowbank when you're sitting in a chalet in Germany and can't make your next payment.
Ooh.
Here's how to do, the delayed possession so you get the money before you move out. So I'm going into like advanced escrows and how to time things for less risk, because if you're moving across the country, you have some very significant risks that you're not going to really be able to recover with $5,000 in earnest money. Right. So I'm establishing authority frame very quickly, and then I'm showing that I succeeded where someone else failed. And that expired letter killed it. Like I killed it with that. Nobody else had a letter like that. There was always somebody else with some mock-up letter. I think part of the problem is agents want to be too templatized. They want to go into a library and say like, oh, what's the best expired letter? I'm sure that's like a Googleable term.
That is like, actually, I'm sure. Point, Brian. I think because we're so used to thinking that this business isn't about connecting with people for a long-term process, that it's just like in and out, right? And that becomes a challenge on how we approach business. That's why.
It is, and it's also one of those things where if we're trying to shift the reason to do business with us to someone else's template, we're probably missing a huge amount of opportunity.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, there's a big difference between modeling and lying. Right? Brett's stories are probably very similar to mine. Like just switch the state, switch the city, switch it around a little bit. And then somebody in Atlanta that Randy knows is like, okay, yeah, I've got one of those. I've got one of those where what happens when XYZ goes sideways and we have to fix it. Everybody's got these different things. But what I find is that agents are really good delivering and like carrying on banter while they're doing a showing appointment or they're in the car with a client. And you look at their marketing and it is like, it's white toast with no butter.
Yeah.
And in person, they're great. They're like dynamic, they're jovial. Yeah. They've got content, they've got expertise and all that. And it just never comes out in their marketing.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because literally as you were telling me your story about Germany, I was like, hey, I had a client like that in Abu Dhabi. They moved to Abu Dhabi and their sale fell through. It's like, hey.
Right. So what does somebody want, right? What does somebody want from an agent? They want a reliable outcome to get them to their goal with a low amount of stress, anxiety, pain, or risk.
Right.
That's what they want, but asking them if they have any questions is not really getting you there.
Dude, I think we could do a whole session on writing letters and writing postcards and just copy, so people can get a better idea as to how to approach that. What do you think of that?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Doing
it's-
one on that
it's
and
one of the
doing one on how
skills-
to better set the hook, I think too would be
Agreed.
its
Yeah.
own conversation.
Agreed.
I'm good with that. Let's
Yeah.
do that next, Brian. You good for that?
Yeah. No,
I saw your
there's-
face. You're like,
Yeah,
oh
no,
shit, I have to do
it's-
more work.
No, it's so maybe I can get some feedback from the group. So I feel that there's like two threads pulling, right? There's the one thread that is give me the high level brain food that I'm not currently thinking about that can help me,
Okay.
versus a lot of my emails are where do I find it? How do I install it?
Right.
Whoa.
And I'm at this weird bridge where I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to write your direct mail package. Like you have no idea how long that takes me. Like if I'm going to write a 12-page magalog, I've got to sit down literally for like 20 hours.
Yeah.
It's not something that I can do like at scale and it's going to fit everyone's thing. I'm more trying to teach people how to fish than like
Fish for them.
and but yeah, it runs out quickly and it loses a lot of steam when you I find there's something with I don't know if it's like metaphysics or whatnot, but I think swipe and deploy only really works when it's still true.
Yep. Too many people have gotten to the whole rip off and duplicate thing. And it
Well, I've
just
seen
doesn't-
people try to do it with your stuff, Brett, and I've literally seen them. They say like, "Oh, well, I looked at Brett's XYZ, I copied
Yeah.
it word for word, and I switched out the state, and no one listed with me." And I was like, "Do you know why that is?" And they're like, "Well, no, I copied it exactly. It was still pink." I'm like, "Okay, so here's the reason. Number one, things inside of this world are bigger than we perceive. Like, and I'm not trying to get too metaphysical here, but I've had some very interesting things happen with like mind frames and in metaphysics. Like during the financial collapse, like I really, really thought about increasing the volume of waterfront properties and opportunities that I had. And I got pretty deep with it for about 3 months. Inside of 3 months, I went from like 2 or 3 waterfront listings to listing like a multi-acre development and finding a buyer from UAE.
Yeah.
Like, so metaphysics
awesome.
is very real. Like if you're lying, like the world knows. If you're full of shit, the world knows. If you don't
So
truly have people's like interest at heart, like they will sniff that out and they will know. Like they can ferret out a con man and a crook like pretty quickly. So the main thing was that the backbone that Brett had, and well, it still has different, branding with it being Aurora and different, states of what's changed in his business, but is he had believability. If you just copy something and you're like, I'm just going to clone XYZ and the market doesn't believe you, the sum is much greater than the little pieces.
I've had people call me before and they've basically told me like, I ripped everything off that you did. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. And they're like, I haven't done, nothing has worked.
Nothing's
like,
happened. Right.
I wonder why.
So therefore it's your fault. Yeah. It's
right.
Now
color didn't make me, the color I chose did not make me successful.
it could have been orange. Yeah. It certainly could have been orange.
It could have been
Yeah.
black and white.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's you have to stand by. You have to find something that makes you get excited. You have to find something that you can give to somebody else when you're talking to them. For me, the color, that was honestly a slap in the face to the people that were in my area. They were like, that's never going to work. And truthfully, it was the biggest slap in the face to my dad, who was like, you're an idiot if you run hot pink. And I'm like, what the heck?
Do it. Gonna do it. And if you plow forward hard enough, a lot of things can work. And I kind of get that with my business too, right? And for people watching, I run a paid search, boutique agency. We deploy a lot of capital in search for clients. But I've often had people ask, they're like, well, you're charging way more than XYZ and Y.
Right.
And can everyone just log into Google? And I think that the best way to look at it is like, there's 3 companies sending food trucks to every restaurant you've ever heard of. Yet all the food tastes different from all the different restaurants. Like none of them really are all the same. So it's the decisions you make along the way. And there's like hundreds of micro decisions. So like in a conversation with a client, this is what, 3 weeks ago, we're digging into stats, and his normal stats are totally baseline, like normal and good normal. But when you dig deeper, he had some opportunities that were massive. Like he has one agent who is just crushing 55 plus. She's killing it. His lead routing had nothing to do with how that was set up. I'm like, look, you've got a woman who's 62, converting 55 plus leads at 5.8%. Half your 55 plus leads are going to a girl who's 22 years old. Like there's opportunities for improvement inside of every iteration to a number that will like blow your mind.
Yeah, we just have to take time to step back and see what's actually making a difference, right? Because we're go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
What's making a
for
difference
whatever reason, people don't see the value in taking a step back.
I think that's largely because of budget planning and they're too reactionary. You know, I think the way that agents often make their decisions is just outside of the normal metrics. So then their feedback loop's all messed up.
That's true, dude. That's true. Bryan, let's go deeper on be more memorable. I think we could have a whole webinar on that right there. Just number 3.
Very likely. And that maybe that would be a better thing to be, try to nail it down to some really, really good examples. Cause I know everybody has these in their business, but God, when I ask clients, like, where is that? Really missing. Like there are people right now listening to the webinar that are outperforming other agents 5-1 with offers accepted, and it's nowhere to be found in their sales sequence.
Yeah, very true, man.
Right? How many people watched the last webinar about a seller's pitch page and didn't make one?
Ugh.
Like 98% of them, maybe?
Probably more.
Yeah. We should have you guys ever heard about that? I read about it like 4 years ago. It was like the cult of highly productive. So basically it's like a reverse pain threshold. Mm-hmm. So like, let's say if I really don't like, or let's say I'm really pro environment.
Okay.
And Brett says, all right, Bryan, if you don't do what I tell you in coaching, then you've got to donate 10 grand to exploration in the Arctic Wildlife Refuge to fund ExxonMobil.
Oh,
yeah. And you're just like, oh God, you're like, oh, it's not even that I want the own benefit of doing what he says in coaching, but I don't want the pain of feeling that I've got to fund something I hate.
I've got to wear a Saints jersey on a Sunday.
You got something. So
dude, I like that. I like, we should do that. just between us. All right, Bryan.
Tristan's launching a new coaching program for that.
Just on that alone. That's funny. Bryan, let's go deeper on be more memorable on our next one.
Let's think about that. And we also, I think if there's a way, maybe Aubrey or somebody could do it with a poll. If we could kind of run a poll in the group of what people want content of, I think that would help, because there's so many fringe topics. Like, you know, we don't want to have webinars about, you know, the most simple stuff, right? We want to have it on the juicier things, but maybe if we could run a poll once a month.
Good idea, man. I think Barry will do that into the Facebook group. We'll tag you.
Cool. All right. It's great seeing everybody again, and I hope you're all well and putting your head down and crushing it.
Good seeing you, buddy. We'll talk to you probably, it sounds like pretty soon.
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Guys.
All right. Later, everybody.
Y'all take it easy. Take care.